What's going on, horror fanatics? I'm Marcus. Welcome to our Shop 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel. In this video, I will be discussing Hurry Up Tomorrow, as I will not only be discussing certain scenes from the second trailer that was not seen in the first one, I will also be sharing a theory that I have as to what we could be seeing in this film in regards to our main character and the plot of the story. If you're a fan of horror movie related content, shoot the video a like, it helps feed the YouTube algorithm. And if you are a new viewer of the channel, shoot that subscribe button followed by the bell icon for all content updates. Alright y'all, so just as a quick recap for those who are unaware of this film, Hurry Up Tomorrow is an upcoming psychological horror movie directed by visionary director treyedwardshults that stars Abel the Weeknd Tesfaye, Jenna Ortega, and Barrykoeghan. I did do a full trailer breakdown video for the first trailer. That video will be left on the end screen on this one in case you have not seen it yet. And I spoke about the plot of the story, about how this film is supposed to be a new version of 1990s Misery film that also takes inspiration from films like The Shining and Disturbing Behavior. I also mentioned how the music from The Weeknd's album with the same name as the film will play a pivotal role as the lyrics from certain songs extrapolates to horrors that The Weeknd is experiencing in this movie. Now, though a lot of the scenes in the second trailer have most of the same ones that you see in the first, there are a couple of new ones that stood out to me that I will share my opinion on here first, then I will move on to my main theory for the film. Okay, so in these first two shots we see Abel in his hotel room and he's getting a bunch of messages coming through on his phone, but as you can see his peripheral goes blurry, and in the background you can hear the song Hurry Up Tomorrow playing. As he turns his head, he is seen looking at a set of doors as the music pitches down to a more sinister tone. I mentioned this in my first video discussing this film. I do think Abel will be under the influence of some type of drug, hence the blurry vision here in this scene. His persona as the Weeknd character throughout his musical career is known to have lived on the wild side. As a result of this, I think he will start to hear and see things that are nothing more than figments of his imagination, and this seems to be the start of such sequences. This next shot doubles down on the previous notion that I made, because as it is shown in the first trailer, Abel is seen in a bathtub attempting to do harm to himself, but this time in the second trailer we see a shadow-like figure approaching him while he is in the tub before the scene cuts. This moment is depicted in the song Baptized in Fear, and as you can see in the lyrics displayed here, I will not play the music like I did in the first trailer breakdown because it got me copyrighted, but Abel talks about trying to right the wrongs for the mistakes that he's made, the near-death experiences that he's already endured, and how dying in this way can't be how his life truly comes to an end. He also speaks about how this shadowy figure stares laughing at him as the water from the tub continues to rise, slowly killing him as he hears voices telling him to carry on with his plan to do this to himself. It is clear that Abel is battling multiple demons within himself based on terrible choices that he has made in his life, and that these demons encourage him to rid of himself as that could be the only way to get rid of them. There is a moment in the song where he says, "Like Paul, I am the chief of sin, washing my soul from within," meaning that Abel believes the only way his soul can ever be cleansed, purified, and forgiven by God for his indiscretions as the Weeknd is to kill the Weeknd character off once and for all and start anew as Abel. In a scene on the top left corner, you can see what looks like Jenna Ortega's character Anima tying Abel to the bed, and if you look at her hand there is blood on it, which could be a sign that she may have attacked or murdered someone else before abducting Abel. I say this because in the scenes where Anima has Abel captive, you do not see him bleeding. The blood on Anima's hand could also be from her attacking or murdering Abel's manager and best friend Lee, who Barrykoeghan will be portraying in this film, as there is a moment where you see someone break into the hotel room where she is holding Abel captive, and directly after that, we get the scene of Anima and Lee arguing about something. So it's not impossible to think that this altercation got physical, explaining why Anima has blood on her hand, but it could also be from her attacking and killing someone completely different as well. I will also remind y'all that I personally believe one of the twists of this story will be that Lee is the one who put Anima up to what she is doing to Abel, so it will be interesting to see how these interactions between the two characters play out. The main tagline we see in the trailer for the film is that reality lies deeper than you think, and when you do some research into what this type of message means, then you will learn that the actual reality we all live in deviates from our perception of reality, and that having a deep understanding of the actual reality makes you free from the thoughts, suffering, and bondage that you hold on to. Basically, Abel has to come to terms with the fact that his past and future as the Weeknd are all inside of his head, and that the only real thing is what is going on in the present moment, as coming to this realization will give him the spiritual freedom that he is seeking. If you are one who studies medium, then you may have an easier time understanding what all of this means. In this shot to the right, you see what looks to be Abel walking into this fire, seemingly ending his existence. The scene was also featured in trailer 1, but the shot to the left wasn't, and after looking up the cast list, Ibrahim Ivan Troy Simenon will be portraying Abel as a child in this film. Now, it will remain to be seen if child Abel plays a bigger role at some point in the movie. I know this was the only time you've seen him in either one of the trailers, so as of right now, I'm going to say that this will be the only scene that we see child Abel appear, and that is when he sees his adult self entering the flames showcased in a shot to the right. Abel entering the flames is also a depiction of the theme song Hurry Up Tomorrow, as Abel wants in so many words God to wash his sins clean by fire, as a way for him to pay for his sins himself, instead of those sins continuing to have an effect on those closest to him. So many of you, when you see the thumbnail for this video, especially if you are keeping up with the film, will wonder, what is the big sleep theory? Well, the big sleep theory is essentially what I believe we will most likely see play out in this film in regards to not only the Weeknd's character, but everything and everyone around him, as I believe everything that we will see play out is one big nightmare. It is all a dream. Everything that he is experiencing all stems from having a mental breakdown, along with bad life choices in the form of substance abuse. I hope I don't get banned for saying this, just trying to add some context to the theory, but I believe after a night of abusing these substances, Abel will essentially overdose in his hotel room and die, and that everything we see in the middle of him slowly dying off is essentially an overview and illusion from his perspective of what led him to this point. Of course, a few songs from the album play into this theory. In the first song on the Hurry Up Tomorrow album, Abel sings lyrics such as, "Wake me up, come find me, it feels like I'm dying. Wake me up, these demons keep creeping, don't fear them. Wake me up cause I'm trying, this sleep is paralyzing. Wake me up cause I'm dreaming, it feels so damn real." In the 16th song on the album titled Big Sleep, we hear Abel talking to the Weeknd character, basically telling him that the show is over in regards to having control over his life, singing lyrics such as, "Well, you used up your borrowed life and you wasted your borrowed time," basically telling the Weeknd that he has finally gone too far, and after eluding death multiple times, death has finally called up to him. Tracing back to the Hurry Up Tomorrow song, in verse 1, the Weeknd sings the lyrics, "Tie me up to face it, I can't run away, I'll accept that this is the end." In both trailers for the film, we see Jenna Ortega's character Anima have Abel tied up to the bed in his hotel room, and she tells him, "I know this all seems really intense, but I'm not trying to hurt you. You're hurting yourself and everyone around you. Something has to change." I believe that Anima will be another form or alter ego of Abel himself, who attempts to show him how the Weeknd persona has had a negative effect on him and everyone around him in an attempt to save him, but at this point it will prove to be too late. Ortega herself even backs this idea up in interviews with Fandango and AP, along with Tesfaye and director treyedwardshults, where she was quoted in saying, "There were certain times that they changed Anima's place in Abel's life. She takes different forms, keeping her character mysterious as to who she is and what she means to Abel's life. It is a very intimate film. Anima cares for Abel like no one else, so it's her job to get in his face a little bit." She also goes on to say that Anima and Abel are two extreme ends of the spectrum of Abel himself, incredibly warm and cold, and how it will be something that we have never seen before. As for Tesfaye, when asked if there were parts of this film where he sees himself and stuff that he's went through in life, he would go on to say that the only time where he saw himself is through the incident that they recreated, referring to his real-life mental breakdown that he suffered in 2022, which was difficult because it took him back to that moment. However, he hammers home the fact that though he does play himself in this movie, the Weeknd character is just that, a character, and that this film is about personal truth and trauma. And that's what it boils down to, in my opinion. I believe that this movie will be an exploration on how one's mental health can not only take a turn for the worse, but how terrifying it can be losing yourself from within. I also think this will be an exploration of certain scenarios taking place in Abel's life as the Weeknd persona, to where his wrongdoing doesn't just have an effect on the people closest to him, they have a grave effect. meaning the times that The Weeknd has eluded death, the people involved with him in these certain scenarios may not have been so lucky, which would explain why he questions in the song Hurry Up Tomorrow, who else has to pay for my sins? With that being said, we are officially 5 days until tomorrow. 5 days until we find out just how terrifying it is to be inside of The Weeknd's mind, and I cannot wait to see what one of the best storytellers in music has in store for us on the big screen, because we are approaching the end of an era. Because after this film, the Weeknd character that many of us grew to love over the course of the last 14 years will cease to exist. But okay, everyone, that is it for this Hurry Up Tomorrow theory video. Leave a comment down in the comment section below with your thoughts and opinions on the upcoming film. Do you agree that this nightmarish odyssey that Enigma is taking The Weeknd on will be just that, a nightmare, in the mind of The Weeknd while he is slowly passing away? Do you think that Enigma will be an alter ego of The Weeknd and that everything that we see has been conjured up by this mental breakdown that he is enduring? And be sure to stay tuned, as I will be releasing another video before the film comes out in regards to what the aftermath of The Weeknd's death will look like based on what we see in the trailers and here in the Hurry Up Tomorrow album. Once again, I am Marcus and this is Asham6times YouTube Horror Movie channel. Be sure to follow me on all my social media platforms. Thank you all for watching.